there's a dude who plays for the Bills. I was hanging out with a bunch of those guys. I did a show in Buffalo, and then we went out. And his name's Spencer Brown. He's a right tackle. I was on mushrooms. I went, did I tell you this?
No.
Dude, this was like the greatest night of my life. All right, hold on. This was the best night I've ever had. So I did a show in Buffalo. Then the next night, it was Sunday. On Sunday, we went to the game. Oh, I told you this. When Gabe Davis gave me his jersey, I looked like a Down syndrome guy. Like,
yes.
But that night, we went out to fucking Dave & Buster's. I took a ton of mushrooms. Way more than I thought I took. I was fucked up. But then, so like all the cool black dudes on the team were like hanging out, being cool. And then it was just me and like a white O-lineman, Spencer Brown, who's like 6'9". And I was just so high. I was like, dude, this is a Viking. This is an actual Viking.
Yeah.
Thank God we live today.
Thank
where
God.
I'm watching him play fucking video games and arcade games.
You got to give people like that
guy,
some kind of distraction.
If that guy got into a town, back in the, it'd just be over.
That's what it was, man.
It's over.
If you look at those guys in Iceland, you know, all those strongman dudes that come from Iceland, where do you think that comes from?
Freaks, dude.
Those are the freaks that were dominating the world back when people just had axes.
A boat of those guys.
Dude, until people figured out guns.
Thank God.
Thank God they figured out guns.
Just a boat of those dudes.
Can you imagine how rough the world would be?
Yo, Spencer Brown, beast.
6'8", 311. What the fuck?
I was watching him play like
fucking ridiculous
video games.
It's ridiculous.
On mushrooms, watching a 6'8" dude play.
Dude.
Yeah.
That gene line of those strong men, of those guys like Derek Wolf, those gigantic, like Thor, the Game of Thrones guy, the Mountain from Game of Thrones, like that's a gene line of like the people who conquered the world with axes. That's what that is. It's so nuts that wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
That's what's really crazy, right? Like at any point in time in the world, in any one moment, things can break out that are real similar to the way life was during the Viking days.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen very often. You know, it breaks off less and less over time. But it's still there in us. And if it wasn't for football and the UFC and pro boxing and like all those sports are like, it's like a bridge to civility. It's like a bridge to a peaceful civilization.
Yeah.
Especially martial arts. Like a bridge to a peaceful civilization. Because you allow these people that have this fucking thing inside them to express themselves in a legal way, and they're rewarded for it hugely.
Yeah. And you get to scream. You're like, fuck yeah, kill him.
Yeah. I mean, you think of some of the shit that like Hamzat Chimaev says after his fights. I fucking killed them all.
That guy's
I killed them all. Allahu Akbar. I killed them all. Like, bro, when you're interviewing him, it's a wild ride.
Yeah, we were talking about that last night at dinner. I was like, dude, what's your favorite interviews?
Yeah, I think Derek Lewis is always going to be my favorite just because it was so fucking hilarious. The dude just took his shorts off. He's the coolest, man.
His fucking
he's the coolest.
The other one though, not the balls are hot. The fucking him beating the Russian up and being like, I talked to Donald Trump last night.
Oh yeah,
so
that was
I
the other
take
one.
care of this fucking Russian for you.
Back in the day, Chael Sonnen was the best guy to interview. Chael Sonnen would put
algorithm.
He would put on a show.
I get Chael Sonnen clips constantly.
He's a smart dude, man. And back in the day when he was the first guy to really figure out pro wrestling style promotion with like legit fight skills. He almost beat Anderson Silva. He almost won that fight. If he didn't get caught in that triangle in the last round, he would have won that fight. And it was a grueling fucking fight. And he just kept taking Anderson down. And he beat the shit out of Nate Marquardt when Nate Marquardt was in his prime. Like, he was a real fighter. He just was not John Jones. There's like levels even to savages, which is so crazy. Chael was like a little smaller too. He like really shouldn't have been fighting the guys that were in that John Jones range, 205. I mean, John's cutting to get to 205. Chael's fighting at 185. Like, sketchy. Like at Anderson and him, they fought at 85. John is big, dude. He's big. He's big and long and strong as fuck. That's too big. Like remember when John and him fought? It was a mauling.
I don't.
It was a horrific mauling.
He fought Chael Sonnen?
Yeah, John beat him up so bad that he broke his own toe, pushing off the ground, smashing him. Like,
there was that. Was that?
Pretty sure that's how he broke his toe. He broke his toe for sure in that fight.
There was that crossover in the UFC where like dudes started like being athlete. Not saying Chael Sonnen wasn't an athlete, but you know what I mean. There was that like switchover phase.
There definitely is a
like
switchover phase, but I think with Chael, I really would attribute it more to he's been around during the greatest of the greats at 85. Like Anderson Silva in his prime was one of the greatest of the greats. Anderson Silva, for like he gets left out of the GOAT competition because after the Chris Weidman fight where he broke his leg, he had a bunch of fights where he didn't perform like the Anderson of old. So I think people forgot how good he was when he was in his prime.
Who is in the GOAT conversation? Obviously John Jones.
John Jones is number one now.
Is Khabib?
Yeah, he's in there. He's undefeated, barely lost a round in his entire career. Yeah. He had one controversial fight with Gleison Tebow back in the day, but I think it was a fair decision. But he dominated everybody at the top. Dominated everybody. Yeah. And he did it with fucking just a ruthless intensity, fantastic wrestling. They couldn't stop him.
Usman was.
Yeah, up until the Leon Edwards fight, I was telling everybody.
Until one kick.
I think Usman's the greatest welterweight of all time. If you look at like what he's done and who he did it to, like the way he knocked out Jorge Masvidal. He started out as a wrestler. And now all of a sudden he's flatlining people on the feet. And you're flatlining a skilled striker in Masvidal. Like Masvidal's he's a slick guy on the feet.
Yeah. That was a tough one too. He's all sweaty, the mist off that punch when he hit him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, when you think about the way Masvidal knocked out Ben Askren, Masvidal knocked out Darren Till, like Masvidal's a scary guy.
I wish that didn't happen with Askren. I wish Ben got a chance to wrestle.
That was a rough one.
Yeah.
That was a rough one. But that's how smart he is. Like, he knew his instincts were going to be there. He just you ever see the video of him training that very move?
Yes. That's a bummer. That's a bummer. When you look online and be like, fuck, he knew he was going to do that?
Bro, his knockout of Darren Till was brutal. Fucking brutal. He's knocked out a lot of really good guys, man. It's when Usman destroyed him, I'm like, wow. He might have felt the highest level of competition because he beats Tyron Woodley, who was one of the best welterweights ever.
Yeah.
He destroys Tyron, right? Like, runs right through him. He's, dominant fashion, wins a 5-round decision. There's no question at all he's the new champion. Then he beats Colby Covington, who is about as good as it gets in that division other than Usman. Yeah. Colby's a fucking animal. Unbelievable cardio, tough as fuck.
Yeah.
And even though Kamaru broke his jaw, like he was still there in the last round. He was upset when they stopped it.
Yeah.
Did he break his jaw?
I think he did.
I want to be sure of that though. Well, he definitely fucked his He fucked his mouth up. He dropped him, and he hit him with some really good shots. But Colby was saying even at the end, like, "Hey, I could have made it through that," which is like that's
cool, man.
That's how tough that dude is. He's undeniably tough. So Kamaru beats him, and he beats him twice, and he hurt him pretty fucking bad in the second fight. And Colby got through. So you got to like how good Colby is. And if Kamaru's beating him like that, and then Kamaru was beating Leon Edwards for the most part. Oh. Yeah, there it is. He dropped him. You got to remember, he stopped Gilbert Burns. Gilbert Burns is a fucking animal. You saw the Gilbert Burns-Hamza Chimaev fight, So Kamaru stopped him. I feel like you look at the caliber of the opponents that he's faced as a champion and how he's beaten them. I kind of put him up into the Leon Edwards fight. I kind of put him up there with everybody.
God, that Leon kick, though.
He might have been the best welterweight ever, but that Leon kick, man, that changed the world. And then this weekend they're fighting again, which is so crazy, dude.
Yeah.
That fight's so intense.
Where are they fighting?
In England.
Oh.
Yeah.
Leon's
Leon's
that's gonna be awesome,
hometown,
man.
son. Yeah, he can sleep at his own bed and defend the world title in England.
Well, I don't want to make any predictions. I'm 0 for 1.
What do you think?
I said Cyril Gane, John Jones. I was like, I think Cyril's going to win this thing, dude.
That is
10 seconds in, I was like, whoops.
That wasn't a good bet. Here it is, man. One of the craziest.
That is a dejected. That is not.
Look how beautiful that kick is, too.
Victory for Leon Edwards.
But that is not the cloth from which he is cut. I mean, that is a dejected.
Look at that. Bro, just the sound of that, shin to chin.
Dude,
play that sound again. The sound of shin to chin.
But that is not the cloth from which he is cut. I mean, that is a dejected.
There it is.
Bro.
Oh my God.
Bro.
I don't think he knew that was coming.
Bro.
I don't think Leon knew that was coming.
He set it up. What are you talking about?
No, I mean, the whole time I saw but I think when he landed it, he was like, oh.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Well, it was perfect. And it was because he ducked to his right. You see the way
saw him set it up a
throws
couple
the
times.
left? Yeah.
I watched that there's a video of his trainer. You see that? He's like, come on.
Yeah.
Come on, Leon.
Yeah. It's like a Rocky movie.
Pull it out of the fire, Leon.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's literally like a Rocky movie.
Yeah.
You've ever seen it where they put the Rocky music behind it?
Yeah.